Hi everyone and welcome to the latest episode of Just Good Games. With the current generation of consoles coming to an end this year and the next generation being ushered in, I felt that it was only right to put together a series of short videos shining a spotlight on the games which have defined this generation, for better or for worse. Today I will be talking about a game which definitely falls into the latter category, and that is Star Wars Battlefront 2. But before I talk about this game, I think there needs to be a brief history lesson, and even before that, I need you to do one thing, and that is hit that subscribe button. Way back on October 30th, 2012, a little company named Disney announced a deal to acquire Lucasfilm for $4.05 billion, thus giving them ownership of the Star Wars franchise. One of Disney's first acts was to shut down the popular gaming studio LucasArts, which before these events had developed many Star Wars video games, some great and some just downright awful. At the time, they had been working on a new Star Wars game called Star Wars 1313, and the trailer at E3 was very well received, but the game got cancelled when the studio was shut down and fans everywhere were not happy. Then, later in 2013, Disney struck a 10-year deal with EA to license and exclusively make Star Wars games, with Star Wars Battlefront being announced shortly after. Star Wars Battlefront came out in 2015 to moderate reviews, but there was definitely some positives to take from this game. The game for one looked amazing, the combat was good, and it just nailed the whole feel of Star Wars. All it needed was a great single player campaign and a more robust online system, and we would have the first great Star Wars game in years. So when Star Wars Battlefront 2 was announced and the trailers looked promising and it looked like EA had taken on board the feedback, things just looked good, people were hyped, and then about a week before its release it all started to fall apart. So you might be wondering why I have given you this history lesson. It is important to know that this game started off on the right track, and what EA should have done was pretty obvious. The building blocks were there, and we hadn't had a great Star Wars game in years, and a potentially great one had been cancelled. This was also at the peak of the modern Star Wars hype, before the fanbase split, and it just emphasised how much of a home run this game should have been, and what a failure it became. The Star Wars Battlefront 2 beta ran from the 6th of October 2017 until the 9th of October 2017. This is when the red flag started to be waved. The gameplay was enjoyable and it looked fantastic, but there were a few concerns about the levelling up system, which was directly linked to acquiring star cards. Each class and hero had its own set of star cards, and you could equip 3 to each class, and the better the cards you had, the higher the level you would be for the class or hero you were playing as. Not the greatest system on the surface, but still okay. Where the controversy truly lied was how you would acquire these star cards. Like most online multiplayer games, you would play matches and be rewarded with points at the end for kills and achieving certain objectives. But these points did not allow you to level up. No, they didn't even allow you to buy specific star cards. Oh no, this was an in-game currency that you would use to buy loot boxes, and the cards you would receive were completely random. So your rewards, your levelling up, was not even linked to your skill in any way, and the way you upgraded your classes or hero was completely random. So to put it bluntly, the upgrade system sucked, and the cherry on top of the cake was you could pay real money to acquire said loot boxes, and not even have to grind out the hours and hours of matches to acquire better cards to level up, and thus giving an advantage in matches to people. It was a pay to win situation, and it did not sit well with the people. Also, certain heroes had to be unlocked with the in-game currency. It is said that it would take 40 hours just to unlock Darth Vader alone. Sure, you could buy him, but we had just spent £50 on the game, and I did not expect to have to pay again for the privilege of playing as Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker. The backlash was fierce, and on the day before release the microtransactions were disabled. The uproar from social media and poor press reception had a negative impact on EA's share price, which dropped by 2.5% on the launch day of the game. By the end of November 27, EA had lost $3 billion in stock value since the launch of the game. On March 16, 2018, developer DICE announced an overhaul for the progression and economic system. Loot boxes will only contain credits, one of the in-game currencies and cosmetic items, while the other in-game currency can be bought solely for the purpose of purchasing cosmetic items for characters in the game. Progression for players' abilities or star cards is now linear, as players must play a certain class or hero in order to unlock a skill point for that trooper or hero, which can then be used to purchase a new card or upgrade one the player already owns. It was too little too late. The damage was done and it was only the beginning. What happened next is truly what will go on to define this game as a game of this generation. Also, just to add, the single player was only 5 hours long, and that's not really good enough. Like, they promised a proper robust single player campaign, and 5 hours is just not good. It was an okay campaign, so what you're looking at is 90% of this game was the multiplayer, and when that just fails, this game just failed. Next, the big boys and the outside world got involved. On November 15th, 2 days before release, the Belgian gambling regulator announced that it was investigating this game alongside Overwatch to determine whether loot boxes constituted unlicensed gambling. I can't say constituted. The Belgian Gaming Commission ultimately declared loot boxes to be illegal under gambling laws, but found that Battlefront 2 was not in violation, as EA had temporarily removed microtransactions from the game. This was massive. I get why it could be considered gambling. You pay money for a random drop, and if you don't get what you want, you pay to roll the dice again. But I also sort of see the other side of things. It's a bit like trading cards and stickers, in the sense you pay for a pack and you don't know what you're getting, but you pay your money and you hope for the best. But the bottom line is, that shouldn't have been the system on which you base 90% of your game, and the customer has already shelled out £50 for. You don't do pay to win on like a £50 game. You can do it on a mobile game for free possibly, because that's the model and everyone knows what that is. But this was not on. This was a watershed moment in gaming, as games before this, some games had done this like before and had done similar things. Online games such as Overwatch and FIFA Ultimate Team allowed you to use real money to buy in-game currency to gain better equipment and players. A game released around the same time, Middle-earth: Shadow of War's endgame, was linked directly to a loot box system. It was rubbish at the end of the day, like that endgame. It was a good game before that, but they just ruined it at the end. All of this changed with loot boxes now really only being used to buy cosmetic items in games. Star Wars Battlefront 2 was the straw that broke the camel's back, and FIFA Ultimate Team is still being investigated up until this day. It's not all doom and gloom though for Star Wars Battlefront 2. As I said, it played well, and because of the games as a service model, it was able to adapt and update. The roadmap has been pretty good so far, and it maintains a solid fan base to this day, but ultimately this game should have been special, and it has become a symbol for everything that is wrong with some aspects of video games today. Disney must have considered pulling the plug on the license, and that pressure from them and the fans has resulted in one of the best Star Wars games ever, in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Fantastic game, look at my review on the channel. But its controversy will always live on, and it lives on in the fact that ESAB recently have introduced a loot box warning on its parental guidance label. That is its legacy. This and what I have just stated on this video is why Star Wars Battlefront 2 is one of the games that has defined this generation. So, thank you for making it to the end of this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. All you have to do now is hit subscribe, like, share, Throw some comments down there. Let me know what you think of Star Wars Battlefront 2. Also follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and once again, you have been watching Just Good Games.